In the global cocoa industry, when Ghana coughs, the world will catch the cold. Not only Ghana, you put in there Ivory Coast, and it is going to be a pandemic. That's exactly what we're having right now, because both Ghana and Ivory Coast have not just been coughing, it's been very persistent. And so there is a global cocoa pandemic. Everybody has caught the cold wherever you look, and it is affecting global supply of cocoa beans, but also the price of my favorite item, chocolate. We're going to talk about that because, as you know, this is one of those heavy foreign exchange earners for us. We're waiting desperately for the second tranche of the syndication loan of $200 million that we now understand may have been affected by this crisis. At least that's what the international wires are reporting it as a crisis. We'll tell you why. But what is really happening in Ghana, and how will this affect the farmer, but also this economy? Let's have that conversation. As we speak tonight, a very interesting number I want to show you just to illustrate the challenge that the global cocoa industry is facing is a number of $10,000. That is how much cocoa is now selling out in terms of per ton. $10,000 per ton. That is historic. It's never happened before. The first time the price has hit that, in fact, 24 hours before that, it was 9,000. 24 hours later, and even the 9,000 was the highest the world has ever seen. Now we are talking about 10,000. And many say, well, if the cocoa prices per ton has hit $10,000, then Ghana, being the second largest producer of beans, should be making a lot of money. I'll tell you why it doesn't necessarily follow. That because it's 10,000, we should be making a lot of money, because you have to have the beans to make this money. Now, we also know that people are now comparing it to a few things. Copper, for example, for the very first time in human history, cocoa costs far more than copper. That's what tells you that something really unusual is happening as far as this is concerned. Now, just on Monday, we are talking about $700 increase alone on Monday. $700 increase on Monday alone. So it is really unprecedented. A lot is happening in this particular space. Another number that I want to show you, a few numbers just to tell you the story of cocoa, is 138. What is 138? That is the percentage of increase in cocoa price per ton this year alone. And we are just at the end of March. The price of cocoa this year alone, according to the Bloombergs of this world and Reuters, has gone up by 138%. That is jaw-dropping in 3 months. That is a problem that the global market is having to deal with. Ghana is no exception. But it also means that the cocoa processing factories in Ghana are struggling to buy the beans because they cannot simply afford the cocoa beans, right? So that is 138%. Another number I want to show you, just to illustrate what we are talking about, is this particular graph here. And it tracks the increase of prices over the period. And you see it just this period, because we're talking about 2018, the first bar you see there was just as 2,109. That was in 2018 per ton. $2,109 per ton in 2018. And then you come to 2021 February and you are 2,508. You see the price difference between 2018 and 2021, it isn't different, significant, just $400 over that significant space of time. Now you come to 2023, and again, it's still not that significant compared to what it used to be at February 2018 of 2,100. We're talking about some $500 plus by 2023, and then the craziness started, and we come to 2024 February, and it jumps to 5,712. And then the story continues. We've seen the farm gate price now per ton. This is how much we pay the farmers, by the way. So you're saying that it used to be on Monday, selling at 9,638 per ton, but if you're paying the farmers, you would have given them 1,834. Now it's at $10,000, right? But I'll explain to you pretty shortly why it doesn't necessarily translate into more money for us, because you need to have the cocoa beans. But what does that also mean for the cocoa farmer, which is very important? Because as you know, the Cocoa Board will pay the farmers through the foreign financing that we get, the syndication loan. They get the loan. Last year, towards the end of the year, December, we got $800 million. So a lot of that will go to pay the farmers for the beans that they produce, and the Cocoa Board takes, of course, to trade it. The second was $200 million. Now, in the wake of what is happening with disease that has affected the cocoa beans, I'm talking about the black pod, and then you also have the harsh weather conditions of last year, it has conspired to reduce our output. And I'll show you that graph pretty shortly. And that, by the way, is a key thing. And this is the warning now that is coming in with the 200 million that we now risk losing. And I want to get some clarity on this particular one when we sit down. This is what we projected. In 2021, we were doing more than 1 million tons in Ghana. We're producing that much, right? But look at the problem here. 2023, 2024 now, 580. In fact, there are other projections now, Reuters, for example, that is talking now about just 420,000 metric tons is what now we are projecting to produce Ghana. Something is happening, and that is affecting the ability, Ghana's ability to produce enough cocoa, and which is the reason why the price is going up, because there's shortage. As you know what happens in economics when there's shortage. So what is the reason why this has been the case? We're going to explain that pretty shortly. Now, I want you to also look at the Ivory Coast Ghana challenge, because as you know, the Ghana Ivory Coast, we are the two largest producers of cocoa. And so when these two countries begin to struggle, the entire world will struggle as well. And if you look at the trend there for Ivory Coast, the trend has been downwards from 2023 to 2022, 2023, as in 2.3 million metric tons, and came down all the way to 1.8. I've just been talking to you about Ghana's own production, which has been on a downward decline since 2021 crop season. So we've been consistently going down. So now we're talking about just around 400,000 and over. So that is a problem that needs to be dealt with quite immediately, because it's affecting our ability to raise enough funds for the economy. And then you also look at the share of cocoa production that we currently have. In West Africa, these two countries alone, we produce a third of the world cocoa bean needs. So the processing factories rely on us. And you see that our share, Ivory Coast share, is quite significant. They're still managing to produce a bit more than us. Why is that? Because we're all in the same region. So we need to interrogate that tonight also. Yes, we've all been hit by the challenges. But what are the challenges? Well, the report says there's been a fair bit of bad weather, but also the questions around diseases that has hit us. In fact, the World Cocoa Organization is talking about bad roads is also contributing to our ability to move enough cocoa to the port for export. So that is affecting our ability to produce and our share of the global market when our sub-regional co-producer is doing a bit more than that. Now, if you look at the top 5 cocoa producers there, of course, the two of us are there, but Ivory Coast is doing 2 million. Why? Why can't we do a bit more? We're still where we are. We'll ask that question because it's all about policy, and this is about the sustainability of this economy and an IMF program. This is key. It brings in a fair bit of money. And when the money comes in, as you know, the CD has been misbehaving. We look forward to the syndicated loan facility to shore up the CD a bit. So this is very important indeed. And you look there at the top, 5 producing countries there. This is a very interesting picture indeed. So 2.2 million, 2022, 2023 there. But year-on-year change, you're talking about 120,000. Ghana is negative 29,000. That is a problem. The only country that is doing a negative is Cameroon, but we're doing significant. And that is one of the things we need to interrogate. What is happening with the Ghana problem? The causes of the drop, I've mentioned a few, but the smuggling for Ghana is a big one. And I know that actually are people currently being prosecuted. They are arrested for attempting to smuggle cocoa into Togo. That's a big problem. We have swollen shoe that has come in. In fact, there's also black port that has been reported. There's galamsey, which is a key problem that Ghana is facing. And that's possibly one of the unique challenges we have within the sub-region. So that is accounting for the challenge, climate change and overaged trees. So how are we getting our trees to respond and have a bit more variety that is resistant to some of these challenges? We'll talk about that. The export value, though, it's significant, right? And that trend there, the line there, I don't need to say much to this because it tells you this export value is one that is very important for this economy of ours. And then you have January to February. You see the dwindling export value because of just how little we are producing compared to the target. It is a big conversation because it has to do with the economy. It has to do with cocoa farmers and their well-being. But it also has to do with our ability to process it. So currently, our local processing factories, a lot of them aren't able to operate. It's the same in Ivory Coast, by the way, because the cocoa beans, it's just too expensive for them to buy. They were trying to blend the premium cocoa we produce with imported ones. Even that now, the global market is biting pretty hard. What is the implication of this for our economy, for farmers, and for you at home if you love cocoa? This is a big conversation about the economy. We need to have it and try and drill down to a small seed that could mean so much to us, where we currently are. Let's try and unpack all that. PM Express is always brought to you by Syntex Tanks. It is strong, it is tough. Our global bitters experience greatness in every moment. Ghana AIDS Commission, Pepsodent, every smile matters. Details after this. No matter your water needs, Syntex Tanks is the tank for you because it solves all your problems. It is the first to introduce a double layer tank, and now you can have as many layers as you want. Syntex Tanks is first to introduce the white inner layer tanks in Ghana. We now introduce you to the customer specs order and lets you order any color and size of preference. Syntex Tanks gives you the longest warranty of 7 years, which no other tank gives you in Ghana. So whatever your water consumption, size of project or demand, choose Syntex Tanks. We have agents across the country. 0244-335-168 or shop online at syntexgh.com. A strong, A tough. And Pepsodent is another that I recommend to you every evening here on PM Express because it has profluoride and microcalcium ingredients sealing tiny and invisible holes in your teeth. And this prevents cavities, keeps your teeth strong and mouth healthy. Pepsodent Cavity, it comes in various sizes, 175G all the way down to 12G sachets that you can buy. We want to make sure that you can afford one thing or the other. Whatever your size of your pocket, there's something out there for you to purchase. And so remember that Pepsodent, every smile matters. My guest joining me in the studio from the Cocoa Board, the public affairs manager there is Fifi Boafo, is with me in the studio for this conversation. Nana Oboidi Boateng Bonsu is the president of the Concerned Cocoa Farmers Association. And we'll also be joined by Robert Edu, who is an agric economist from the KNUST, will join us for a conversation also here on PM Express. Fifi, let me start with you. So what's happening? First, let's start with the Ghana problem, right? Why is it that the projected output has fallen so low from what you initially thought it could be?
Okay, so it is not Ghana problem. It's the world cocoa problem. You realize when you started your presentation, you were talking about what is currently happening. So it goes beyond Ghana because at present, it is estimated that we will not have enough cocoa beans for the chocolate industry. And that is why you see the current prices we are experiencing in the market. So it is not Ghana problem per se, it's the world cocoa. And the major contributory factor is the weather situation we've experienced this cocoa season. It started with heavy rainfall, even though, yes, you need some amount of rainfall in order to have your production. But it started with very heavy rainfall. It affected the cocoa, and then the time we were supposed to have the cherries and then the fruiting period. So it affected that. Then it got to a time where the pot you had, the expectation is that at least they are able to develop for you to harvest. Then we experienced severe harmattan, extreme form of it. So this El Nino challenge we face is one thing that has contributed largely to the low production we're experiencing this year. And the same situation can be said in Côte d'Ivoire, who are also experiencing the same problem. Of course, we have another problem beyond the El Nino, and that is also not peculiar to Ghana. Ghana, Côte d'Ivoire have similar problem, and that has to do with the cocoa swollen shoot virus disease. The cocoa swollen shoot virus disease has been with us for a number of years. Indeed, history has said that was the reason why Cocoa Research Institute was established as the West Africa Cocoa Research Institute, now CRIC. It is expanding. Yes, indeed, we are dealing with it. From 2019, 2020, we've started treatment.
But those factors you mentioned, I want to also add Galamsey, right?
Oh,
That's unique. That's unique to us.
I'll get to it. So when I saw the ranking you did, I rather want to rearrange it based on what the figures are and the effects we're experiencing. So swollen shoot, at the moment, we are looking at about 590,000 hectares of cocoa farms that have been affected by swollen shoot.
Right now in Ghana?
Right now in Ghana. So it is also affecting production. Indeed, we are also rehabilitating some of the affected farms. So hitherto, you were getting 10, 15 pods, 5 pods from some of these trees that have been affected. But the belief is that if you allow them to be there, the spread continues. And then you lose more. So instead of allowing them to be there to be getting this 1, 2, 3 pods from them, you cut them because that's the only known solution presently. So we are treating those farms. So those farms are also not fruiting at the moment. Another problem which we have is the illegal mining.
Which is unique to Ghana.
That's unique to Ghana. Well, we are only hoping and praying Côte d'Ivoire will also not follow us in the same route.
Because there was a time they actually complained to us that we were polluting their water bodies.
Unfortunately, Galamsey has also started in Côte d'Ivoire, but not at the same scale as we experience, and ours is on a different level. So Galamsey is also another problem.
But how much of a problem is that? If you look at the contributory factors that you've been outlining for Galamsey, how much is that contributing to our?
I think in terms of ranking, that will be at number 3.
Okay, so that's significant.
It is significant, yes. Smuggling is another problem we face at the moment, but the major one is the El Nino. So that gives us a certain level of comfort, knowing very well that it will not have a repetition going into the next cocoa season, which is 24-25 cocoa season. That will not be there. Yes, of course, the swollen shoot problem is still there. Galamsey will still be there. We're not too sure of smuggling because we don't know how the pricing will be.
So when they smuggle, where are they taking it to?
Well,
I've seen the prosecution happening.
Yeah, when they
try to take it to Togo.
Yeah, largely it goes to Togo. There are other West African countries, but then the major route now is Togo.
Do you have any going to the Ivory Coast?
Well, there seem to be some information suggesting that, but the major route at present is Togo.
Okay. But I thought we have uniform pricing that we
indeed, when we announced our price, our price is actually better. When we announced the price between Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire, our price was better. But with Togo, they do not have a system like we do, like it is in Côte d'Ivoire. We have a special case. In Ghana, we give incentives to cocoa farmers. For example, we give them research into the industry, we give them seedlings, we give them extension service, we give them input to support them, we give them fertilizers at a discounted rate, among other support services we provide to the farmers. When you go outside Ghana, this does not exist.
So it's free for all there?
It's free for all. In Côte d'Ivoire, in Togo, for example, there's nothing like cocoa board. So that individuals...
Anybody with money enough to buy will buy. They'll aggregate the beans and sell
it
on the open market.
And because we do forward sales, they don't have any time to do forward sales. They don't have it to guarantee any farmer any price. So the moment the price at the world market is high, they come in, gather as much cocoa as possible, and they export it and get the money out of it. Whereas in Ghana, you want to do a forward sale to be able to guarantee the farmers some price in order to show them from the volatility of the markets. They do not have that responsibility. So in times like this, that is where they will surface. Moments where the price is down, just like we experienced over the years, they do not show up. So they take advantage of the world market price as how crazy it is today, which we are all talking about.
But my question to you is, bringing in the Ivory Coast question, they are also facing the same challenges. How come they are still managing 1 million plus when ours have dropped significantly to half of what we actually projected?
So Ivory Coast were doing over 2.4 million.
Yeah.
So if they are doing over 1 million now, or they are doing 1.8, that's a shortfall about 600,000.
I guess the question is, why should they be doing that better?
Okay, so it changed. The dynamics changed. Once upon a time, Brazil was the highest producer of cocoa in the world. Now Brazil actually imports cocoa to process, which is Bloom came and then he devastated their cocoa landscape. Ghana were doing better than Cote d'Ivoire, but there was a particular point in history where Cote d'Ivoire decided to do large-scale cocoa farms, which is not the case in Ghana. There's an accusation from international buyers who say that part of their forest was converted into cocoa farms. And you know, you cannot do that in Ghana, because immediately you convert forest, then international buyers will come and say that, hey, you are breaching international protocols, you are not supposed to convert forest into a cocoa farm. So they were able to do that. Ghana, one of the challenges we face is our land tenure system, for example. It is difficult to have a huge tract of land to say that I want to go into cocoa farming and you convert that huge tract of land, because the interest therein varied and they do not have access to all that. So we have largely smallholder farmers, several of them, almost about 800,000 farmers who are producing it. So about 1 acre, 2 acre, 3 acre, smallholder farmers. And when you are producing as a smallholder farmer, your ability to maximize productivity is small because your income level is small, so you are unable to make huge investment into the business. So that is the reason why Cote d'Ivoire is doing that level of production compared to Ghana.
Stay with me. Let's talk to a cocoa farmer, Nana Bongsu, who is the president of the Concerned Cocoa Farmers Association. Nana, so you are on the farms. What's your own experience? You've heard the global crisis that we've been talking about when it comes to cocoa. Why do you think that Ghana is having this challenge with its output significantly handicapped? Please unmute for me. Hello, Nana, can you hear me? Okay, so we'll get Nana's connection to us fixed. He's on Zoom. It's important to hear the thoughts of a cocoa farmer on what's happening on the ground, because they really are the bread and butter of all this. And Fifi, there is a certain linkage between our ability to produce enough and for the farmers to get paid. Because when we produce and you sell, you raise money, and that's the money that you use to pay them,
yes.
Right? So, but the question is, if it's $10,000 per ton, you are making a windfall.
No. So I have.
So that should bridge the gap between the shortfall in production and how much you're actually going to make.
Okay. So I've seen the excitement that has greeted the current price. There's every reason for us to be excited, but I believe that excitement has to be measured, and the conclusion drawn from it has to be guided. I say so because today, if you check the cables, it's indicating 10,000. But there are two critical things there's the need for us to have a look at. One has to do with the fact that that is the spot price of cocoa. When we say spot price, what it basically means is that today, I have cocoa available, say, in Tema Port, and I offer to you, be it Barry, Olam, Cargill, that I have cocoa available. So I'm offering you X tonnage of cocoa, and you pay me $10,000 for a ton. Today, we do not have that cocoa in stock available. So we cannot say that we are making $10,000 a ton from cocoa.
When you say today you don't have, your projection is you're going to do just over 400,000.
I'll get into that. The second part of it is also whether or not today, when you offer the cocoa you have, you are going to get $10,000 and people are ready to take the offer from you. People are going to actually buy. We are doing forward sales. We are not doing spot sales, because what we usually do is to sell forward and then we use it as a collateral for our annual syndication. Apart from that, it is also to insulate farmers from the volatility of the market. It gives you also visibility.
So the 800 million you got last year, you've already
So
sold
it.
that.
It's gone.
It's not affected by this current price.
It's not.
Yeah.
And what we are even buying from the farmers today, we sold it prior to entering into the
So
season.
before the farmer brings you the bag of cocoa, you've already sold it.
We've already sold it. And so this is actually selling, what we are selling now at the international market is what we'll be doing 24, 25, starting October, and then next year. But the point which is very important for us is that we are not doing sport. So what we are doing is actually features. But we'll be delivering this contract from December this year, so September next year. It is important to note, as I was checking today, if we are, for example, delivering the contract in December, the price you realize is $8,000, not $10,000 a ton.
So that was the price at the time.
That will be the price, that is the forecasted price at the time. That's the features, what it's offering. In May next year, if you are delivering, you sign a contract today, for example, with Olam, to say that next year, I'm expecting to buy cocoa from farmers and I will deliver it to you next year, May. The price it offers you is actually $4,700. Because we do forward sales.
So you're saying that this $10,000 per ton you're talking about, Ghana is not benefiting?
We will benefit, but it has to be measured and guided.
Yeah, so
because
if you're benefiting, doesn't that offset the
the benefit you get, we are talking about it, we are from a history where from 2017 to date, we've been doing around 2,000, 2,500 a ton.
Yeah.
So if you see a jump, it gives you a certain
From
level of
2,000 to 10,000.
10,000.
That's jaw dropping. 138% increase in
But the
this year alone.
reason why you are not supposed to jump in excitement and say that this will be determined based on 10,000 is that you do not have the cocoa available today to deliver and get the 10,000.
Yeah, but you still definitely make a significant, cut out of this.
You will make.
You don't expect to make 10,000 per ton necessarily, but you definitely will make around
Definitely.
8,000 per ton.
No, it depends on when you are delivering the contract.
Yeah.
So if you sign a contract today, you may get 8,000. But I just give you an example that between December to May next year, 2025, when you'll be delivering your contract, we are talking about 4,700. And this is information that can be verified. So if someone sits behind the computer and says that it is 10,000, he uses that to make any argument, then you'll be polluting the minds of the people. So there's a need for us to be guided on that, about that. One critical thing, I remember recently...
But again, if you say that, then you also have to give us what your projection is.
Oh,
What in terms of what you believe is realistic when we go finally to sign the contract, based on projected numbers of what you believe is going to be selling at the time.
It will be premature for me today.
But in your industry, a lot also depends on your ability to project.
Precisely.
So Cocoa Board should know by now when you intend to go and what the price might be around the time.
Projection you're talking about, Evans, I'm sure you were alarmed when you realize in a day a price of cocoa has increased by
$700.
These are abnormal times. When I joined Cocoa Board, for example, in trying to do a bit of history to understand the industry, I was told that around the 70s, we're doing about 7,000 pounds a ton. I felt, how did that happen? Today, I'm a witness to 10,000. No one ever forecasted that. No one ever anticipated that.
So this is an outlier situation.
It is an outlier. So we are, we are in an environment where what we experience is not normal. But I
have a fair idea.
I agree with you.
Because you need to plan.
I agree with you that we are in a better position today than we were the past 7 years.
With pricing.
With pricing.
But not with output. But that too is important.
But you see, the output thing is critical. I remember recently we were at a World Cocoa Foundation partnership meeting in Amsterdam. And the chief executive said something. I've been thinking about it. He said, over the past years, we've been arguing back and forth with international buyers. And the plea between Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire was that at least the price should move to something around 3,000. And buyers told us it was not possible. It was not realistic. It could never happen. And that wasn't the way to go. Today, the price is 10,000. So probably nature has found a way of addressing an issue which producing countries have been pushing for a number of years. We are only here practically for two major reasons. One, it has to do with the fact that there's low production across the globe, and low production is driving the price up. And the second reason could be fund trading, which is also
but here's the thing for Cocoa Board, right? Here's the thing for Cocoa Board. You've also been criticized. You're talking about, yes, the swollen shoot, the disease, the weather. But a lot of that also depends on our policy interventions to help the farmer with the inputs they require in a timely, affordable fashion, so they can also grow and expand the production. Cocoa Board has been accused of failing in that particular aspect, and that is a contributing factor to where we are. Yes, the weather subject, the disease is there, but the disease is also there because we have not been as proactive as we should.
Well, the disease, just like coronavirus, the CSSVD is also a virus that affects cocoa. One of the major interventions that has happened in the cocoa industry is the rehabilitation program currently ongoing. There are farmers, when you go to Western North, for example, who migrated from Bonahafo to Western North, they were cocoa farmers. And because swollen shoot came, it devastated their lands, they lost every investment, and they had to relocate back. These farmers have had their lives restored as a result of intervention by Cocoa Board, by rehabilitating their farms. So if you say Cocoa Board has not acted in a way that helped cocoa farmers, I would disagree. Because such a major situation, and Cocoa Board has been able to come in to intervene on behalf of the cocoa farmers. We have to go to the African Development Bank to seek a facility to help the cocoa farmers to have their lives back. In terms, when I usually hear this story, the accusation that we don't give farmers the input, we don't give the farmers support. It only reminds me of one instance where we went to Ashanti region, I think Ashanti region, and the chief executive was talking to farmers, and the farmer approached him and said, to it. They are not giving us the input to support us. Then the chief executive called the district officer to say that this farmer is making a claim that the entire year he's not been given any support. What is happening? Because we provided you with chemicals for you to support the farmers with. He called the officer in the locality, the community officer. And the man said to the farmer, to it last year. He said, but last year he came and said, if you are not careful, I'm not saying...
You say you have 800,000 farmers?
Yes, about close to
800,000. You provide, what's the frequency when it comes to supply of
it depends.
Because the fertilizers now is subsidized, is it?
Fertilizer is subsidized.
So they still have to buy.
Yes, and you see that with a subsidy, let me give you this figure so that it makes sense to you. When the intervention was initiated, the price of the fertilizer was about 150 Ghana cedis a bag, 160 Ghana cedis a bag. Farmers were supposed to pay 80 Ghana cedis a bag. Today, same fertilizer is over 400 cedis a bag.
So you say you could no longer afford to give them for free.
And the farmer is paying 80 cedis a bag. So amount the farmer is paying is very small. But it is also important for you to know the reason why that decision was taken. We had a policy in place where Cocoa Board was giving fertilizers to cocoa farmers. The farmers take delivery of the fertilizers and they sell it to other people and say, so there was no motivation because they feel that something has been given to me which I didn't contribute. Apart from that, there were stories of people who were not cocoa farmers, but people who had influence. Take these fertilizers, take it across our borders and sell it. So the targeted people were not benefiting. Another reason was also the fact that there was the need to do an identification of the actual needs of the farmers and see how best you'll be able to help them. When the policy was free fertilizer, I may need way more than I am being provided, but because it is free, this is what I give to you. But this time around, there's a policy in place where we say that, so Farmer Evans has 20-acre cocoa farmer. It is for Evans to come and tell us he's within a registered farmer association, and that farmer association will collate the needs of all the farmers who are members of the association. They give this information to Cocoa Board. Cocoa Board procures the fertilizer, and we do not take it to the regional capital or the district capital. It is actually transported to their local community based on your needs. You take delivery and then you apply them. This has been done as a way of addressing the actual needs of the farmers, because I remember in 2017, we went to Sefi, where at the farmer rally, the concern of the farmers were that if you realize how the system or the procedure of giving fertilizers to the farmer has been applied, it was not beneficial, because we are told it is for free, but they were not beneficial. They tell us, sell it to us. Of course, we realized that the farmers will not be able to buy it at the prevailing market, and there was a need to subsidize. That's why we have the subsidy in place for them.
The challenge, and we'll get to the cocoa farmer pretty shortly. I want to take a break. When I return, the challenge that this current crisis poses is that you have $200 million that you were expecting this year, in addition to the $800 million you got last year. And that is important because Cocoa Board obviously then gets the foreign financing with, as you said, the forward sale of the cocoa, takes that money, and it's from that money that they pay the cocoa farmers. Now, if that second tranche of $200 million doesn't come in, that obviously is a shortfall there. How does the Cocoa Board make up for that money? And what that means for the cocoa farmer. If the cocoa farmer isn't getting all that he's expecting in terms of money for the cocoa he's produced, because Cocoa Board has a $200 million shortfall, it affects the ability to buy the cocoa, to buy the fertilizer that they also require for their farms and the cocoa trees. There's a whole cycle then that this is triggered, especially you're looking at the next crop season and going into next year, where you want to break this chain of disease and shortfall in output. How is Cocoa Board going to deal with that? And what are the alternatives to securing that $200 million? I want to take it. When I return, we'll have that conversation. And also live on PMS, so we're talking about cocoa. Many have called it a cocoa crisis, but it's a challenge for Ghana, obviously because we are one of the largest producers of cocoa, the second in the world, only to Ivory Coast. And Ivory Coast is doing its own, it's facing its own challenges when it comes to this. And this is also about economy, because as you know, the cocoa syndicated loan, I've actually seen the cities misbehaving already. Around this period, the government will be looking forward to the loan hitting the accounts and shoring up the city. We got a $800 million last year, and that delayed significantly. And $200 million was expected to come. But we don't know where we are with that just yet, considering the crisis that we're in and the shortfall in the production that we've seen. Quickly joining us right now is Professor Robert Adu. He's an Greek economist. He joins us from the KNUST. I'm grateful you could join us. And I want to pick your thoughts very quickly about this global crisis with cocoa, but also the Ghana element in there. We've heard from the Cocoa Board, and they've talked about the disease that we face in this country, the extreme weather that has also affected it, but the galamsey also. There is an economic element to it, is it not? Because the cocoa prices now has hit $10,000 per ton. We've never seen that before. Is that good for us?
Thank you very much, Ivan, for inviting me at this short notice. I think that the high price of cocoa ordinarily should be good for us. Unfortunately, because we do forward sales, we already sell the cocoa ahead of time. And so it's akin to a situation where somebody pays you for your produce, and then when you harvest, when the price is good on the market, you don't have that price that the market is offering, because already you have given that cocoa to somebody else. And that is the situation of Ghana. It's just a shame that as a country, we are unable to mobilize resources domestically to be able to buy cocoa so that we can hold it. If we buy cocoa with local currency, and then we have warehouses and we are able to hold it over here, then now that the price is around 10,000 as you are talking about, we can be releasing it onto the market. Then you can sell it, and then you can make the margins that we are all expecting. Unfortunately, they have paid you for it, but you took their money ahead of time. They took a lot of risk in giving you that money. And so the gain that they get is the extra price that they get. And so that is the economics of it. Unfortunately, cocoa has served us very well, but we have not served cocoa well. The tree has depleted almost all the nutrients down there, and we are not replenishing the nutrients in the soil. The weather is failing us. Diseases are also attacking the plant. So, unfortunately, the cocoa tree is just helpless. It is already old. The farmer himself is also very old. And the input system that we have put in place to support the farmer is also fraught with a lot of distributional challenges. And so the quantity you send out there, I can tell you on authority that over 50% of it will not even get to the cocoa trees themselves because of the politicization of that whole system. And it is not just this government. It is something that we have practiced over the years. And if we don't depoliticize cocoa, I bet you this story will continue to be here. And so I think that if we can work on the supply side issues, as if you was talking, we're talking about input and rehabilitation and all those things. We need to continue those. But I think that if we have observed some inefficiencies in the distribution of the input, the question is, why can't we pay the farmer very well for his cocoa
so that they can buy it themselves?
Go out there and buy his own input.
And you have a very
because the model we are using to distribute the input through the shared district cocoa offices and through the small committees at the community level, whose membership involves political actors, is creating a lot of problems. I know of practical examples on the ground where the small committees at the community level, when they get the input, they share just about half of it, and the rest either sold for something or people just decide to do whatever they want to do with it. And everybody is aware of the...
And you raise a very fundamental question. I need Fifi to quickly respond to a few other things. Fifi, first of all, the 800 million loan we got in December, what was the price? What was the price that we used for that, for the cocoa at that time? Because it's forward, say a little bit.
Yeah, so let me put it this way. We procured 800 million. The drawdown was 600.
Okay.
The remaining 200, we have decided not to draw down.
Okay.
I've seen the twist Bloomberg decided to put to it. That's exactly not what it is.
So are we missing out on that, which is the report?
We are not missing out. What it is we decided to draw down 600. The drawdown is actually to buy cocoa. You realize that you have a facility to buy cocoa, and the rate at which you have in the cocoa, it doesn't meet the expected crop size you are looking for. So to be prudent, we decide not to draw down the extra 200 because you draw down and you're unable to get contract to pay.
Because you have to pay with cocoa.
It will amount to defaults. And that is what Cocoa Board is not ready.
So you're not pursuing the 200 million?
Rather, what we are doing is to get the cocoa and then redeem the contract and take the money from the buyers. So it is not a facility for the buyers.
So in that case, you're not doing forward sale anymore?
We are doing that. We've done the sale. Of course, we have contracts with the company. But when it only matures, or you are only supposed to pay when you have delivered the contract, as in supply the cocoa beans. Now we are not taking the money from the...
So that's a 200 million?
No. Because immediately you take it, you are supposed to deliver the cocoa.
Yes.
And if the cocoa is not available, then you are going to default.
So what you're saying is, just for clarity, so for this 200 million, you're waiting to be sure that you have the beans before you take?
Precisely.
Okay, so that's what you're doing. Okay. But also...
And the twist to it is that, the twist that was given to the story is that we have...
You risk missing the 200 million?
No, we are not missing.
Okay, so you said the money is there, but you only take that money, draw down, when you're setting that you're getting the beans for it. Because you need to pay with the beans.
Precisely.
Without that, you're going to be in default.
Yes.
And this is happening. I'm clarifying because we don't have time. You're doing this because of the production shortfall, the cocoa beans production shortfall.
That's correct.
Let me also, the question that he raised about the forward sale, doesn't this crisis tell us that we need to change that policy?
So it's so fresh on my mind because this was a conversation in the office this morning. The forward sale has actually served us very well.
But not now.
Because we are not in normal times. And what you don't do is to change your policy just because we are not in normal times. This is a system that gives you visibility. This is a system that you are able to give better projects. It takes you off the volatility or insulate the farmers from the volatility of the industry and gives you clarity going forward. But you say that, oh, today, we should have saved the cocoa, kept the cocoa and sell at the spots. But over the years, when we're in normal times, this was a better system. So let me give you an example.
Sure.
The whole of February, we're only able to sell 23 tons of cocoa because of the prevailing market price. So if we are taking a decision that keep everything in your stores and now sell, and you are only able to sell 23 tons, when are you going to sell all the cocoa you have available? Okay,
and then finally, before we go, the 600 million you drew down, you're certain you have the cocoa to pay for it?
Yes, payment is ongoing. The expectation is that by August we would have finished paying, and then we are on course.
Okay. That's Fifi Boafo there, Professor Robert Adu. It was a delight talking to you, and I'm pretty sure this conversation will return to you again. It's unfortunate that we just got you towards the tail end of this conversation, and I would have loved that you were in from the start. We're going to return to you and get a bit more of your analysis of that particular sector as this crisis unfolds on the international stage. Enjoy the rest of your evening.